this is my teaching reasoning through writing project. First, just to give you a picture of the classroom that I was in. I was teaching 12th grade students in the U.S. and Virginia government class this past semester. A few things that happened that shaped the environment is that their school gym collapsed, so they were sent to the middle school and attended school from 2 to 7:15 at night. So it was kind of hard getting them to adjust immediately into that setting. In the classroom, there's also a wide variety of ability levels. It's a full inclusion county, so I had some students who could have been in an AP level class and some students who had IEPs. So I had to try and reach every ability level in the classroom. Also had very differing socioeconomic levels between the students. Some of them live in much wealthier neighborhoods and some live in trailer parks. So there was a big diversity as far as that goes. And the biggest thing that describes classroom is senioritis. None of the seniors wanted to be there. They wanted to graduate and be done. So it was a big struggle for me with writing to get them to want to write and do any work in general. The assignments I chose to do this project on were newspaper articles. I had them write newspaper articles on several different landmark Supreme Court cases, explain what happened in the case as if it had just happened, and then report why that case was significant or the impact it would have in the future. The goal in these assignments was to help students synthesize the material by just having to read it, look through it, and then create a new product out of it. So taking a case study and making it a news report. I also want to motivate them to understand the practical applications and implications of the court cases, so having to take an event and understand how can this impact the future and analyze that. I want to encourage interdisciplinary connections between history and some of these historical cases and government, and how those apply to our government and the way things are run today. And finally, encourage interdisciplinary connections by tying in history, government with English and writing and journalism through this form. First prompt I gave had to do with SOL 10B, and it was part of a unit on the judicial branch of government. And this SOL just discusses John Marshall's impact on creating the power that the Supreme Court has through the case of Marbury versus Madison and his opinion of that. It correlated with NCSS themes 2 and 6, discussing continuity and change, and also power and authority. Then my objective for the lesson and for this assignment was that students examine the growth of power in the federal judiciary. So the first prompt was part of a judicial branch homework mini that I gave the students where they could pick from several different assignments to do, and this one was a 50-point assignment, which was the bigger projects. So the prompt I gave them was to write a report on the case of Marbury versus Madison as if the events recently took place, include details about the events that answer when, where, who, why, and the significance of the event. That's what they were given. I'm just going to go through one student that I followed today just for time's sake. So this student turned in this paper. As you can see, it looks more like a mini report for class as opposed to a news report. She also used a lot of quotes in it, where it shows me that she knew what she was talking about, she placed them in the right way, but she didn't go through the information enough to put it into her own words. So I noticed a lot of quotes. The structure was more like a report that she would do for English. But her writing overall was good. She is, in general, a very good student, kind of an overachiever, if you will. Turns in her work, is done in advance. So I think you can kind of see her just trying to go above and beyond the assignment here. I gave her the syllabus back. She did a good job of explaining the case, but she did not explain the significance as much. She just said that John Marshall stated that the Judiciary Act was unconstitutional and didn't explain what that meant and the impact that could have. So for feedback, I just encouraged her to think more of the significance of the case and to use less quotes. The second prompt was part of the unit on the constitutional rights. Primarily, we looked at the First Amendment rights. That is SOL 11A. This is an emphasis on First Amendment rights in the Bill of Rights. It's tied in with NCSS Theme 10, just about civil responsibility. And my objective for this was that students will be able to determine what the court has decided is personal liberty versus public interest, so kind of finding the balance there. This time, I gave the students we modeled it in class, because I got a lot of these mini reports, so I wanted to show them, okay, this is what a news article contains, has a headline, and different things like that. So we did discuss it a little more in depth, and I modeled it. It was part of another homework menu for constitutional rights, and the prompt just stated that they were to write a report on the use or suppression of a First Amendment freedom. Again, I told them to answer the questions when, where, who, why, and then state the significance of the case. And this time I gave them a page limit, half a page, just a short, concise report. Once again, the student turns in more of a English report. It ended up going over a page, just trying to go above and beyond. You still see quotes. This entire block is a quote from a case study that she read on it. And again, I just told her that those are great. I can tell she understands them, but make sure you're summarizing the quotes for the reader and not just giving them. In a news report, the quotes you see are from people when they've been interviewed. And then again, she did an okay job explaining the significance, but it was just one paragraph or one sentence. So I just gave her in her syllabus a note to really put emphasis on that, on the significance, and make it a separate paragraph. And then I just mentioned the length as well, but she did a really good job explaining the case. Just didn't focus as much on, okay, what does this mean, taking it a step